All right, we're back again. Welcome. This is Aluminum Tarot. We're going to read for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant for the month of April 2026. It is already April. We're already in spring. We're going to blink. It's going to be summer, and then it'll be time to go back to university for those who are going. And then after that, it'll be time to snuggle up with our friends and loved ones for Christmas time yet again. We do not get many years in our life, in our existence. We only get between 50 and 90, if we're lucky, to have this one, this once go around the sun, to enjoy and experience life in all of its glory. So, that said, we're going to try to go into Sagittarius' reading and just kind of get a little bit of understanding what's taking place in their life for the month of April and see what energies are guiding and directing them at the time, and learning a little bit more about, good old Saggies. So, as before, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so that you don't miss any updates from future postings. And we're going to get straight into this. First off, we have the Knight of Swords has the recent past energy clarified by the Chariot in the reverse. So this signals to me a person who is now making rapid movement forward after a period of intense stagnation where things didn't feel like they were moving anywhere in their life. They have finally been able to break free from the lack of, the loss of control that they felt that they had experienced within themselves, and are now at the point where they are saying that they're going to make the best of their life. They're going to try really hard to make progress forward. It has to be done in a way that you can actually attack the issue at the root, rather than simply just deal with the circumstances in a haphazard manner, which is quite common for the Knight of Swords. They can be a bit rushing in without thinking about certain things and all that. But I feel that in your specific case, you are making rapid progress moving forward, so that way you can get unstuck from the circumstances in the past. And this is very good. This means that in the recent past, you took those, you made a concerted effort to get yourself out of that rut that had been created. What was the rut about? What's the rut about? There you go. So if you had to move house, if you felt that there was a very unstable energy pervading a lot of the circumstances within your life, and about finding a new job. So I can relate to that, being a Sag rising, but if you're in that circumstance as a Sag, Sun, Moon, or rising, or any other Sag placements that you feel resonate strongly with that, this is your story. So at the time, looking at the bottom of the deck, you have the Star in the reverse, meaning that at the time it felt really hopeless. You were rudderless and you were unable to find a clear pathway forward. However, you did manage to start getting the things in motion in order to correct that situation. So, moving forward, we talk about the next phase, which is the Three of Wands. And in the Three of Wands, we have the Queen of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. So you were in a period of intense waiting. I'm getting the word purgatory or limbo, and it felt pretty much like that when you were waiting for this new opportunity to come in. It made you feel a deep sense of bitterness with that Queen of Swords in the reverse. But you then eventually finally got things moving. So you're moving away from this, feeling like kind of a lack mentality or like a victim mindset where you feel, oh, woe is me. Why aren't things getting off the ground? Why is it so difficult for me to find what I'm looking for? And then the wheel starts to turn. And that's when you start to see the progress unfold in your life. And it's really just a matter of patience. And once that takes place, we have in the near future, we have the King of Wands in the reverse and the Magician in the upright. So as you start to learn how to take your baby steps and to materialize and manifest those things that you want, you have to make sure that you have a course set for yourself, that you're not doing things aimlessly, but you are manifesting with intention. And I did mention this to a previous sign, I think it was Virgo, about the whole matter about manifesting with intention now that the resources and the things have come into play. So that's going to be critical for you so that you can make things happen without, cocking everything up. So, as a general overview, what we see is a person feeling absolutely kind of ungrounded within themselves and doing their best to kind of pull themselves out. I'm getting the word 4x4 in my mind right now, like using all-wheel drive and finally being able to get the traction that you need to pull yourself out of the ditch that you've become stuck in, which may have created a sense of despondency in your life because, again, you may have had to move house. Things felt very unstable. Didn't feel like there was a lot of progress taking place. You wanted something stable. You wanted a new start in a stable point in your life where you could feel that you were receiving the things that you needed on the material level. I have a job, I have enough money saved up, I have a place to live in, and all the stuff that makes you feel grounded and contained. And then it was just a matter of time waiting for that. That seemed like one of the most difficult points. So if you were putting out a lot of applications, if you were waiting for something good to come into your life, if you were waiting for a response from a job, if you were waiting for, the application to clear so that you can move into a new flat, all of those things where you're finally pouring the cement, pouring the foundation so that you can get things moving. That is what was taking place, in the month of April. In the month of April, those are the things that you'll, be working on at that time. For me, this took place in the past. This may be taking place in the present for the particular Sagittarius that is listening to this reading. And then finally, you may be running yourself ragged. It may be a lot of energy to get everything manifested and materialized, but you will make it. I can clarify that a little bit more for the near future. Yep. So you have two kings. You have King of Wands in the reverse, but you have the King of Swords. So again, it's about doing things with intention, mastering your ability to plan and strategize, because the King of Swords is a master strategist. And in doing so, you finally are able to pull the rabbit out of your hat and get things moving, manifest and materialize everything that you've needed that will help to bring this to a conclusion. So by the end of April, that's where I see things moving. Clarify one more time in your future. Yeah. Okay. So, Page of Pentacles, this talks about learning those steps. I do remember speaking about that with Virgo. Finally learning the steps that they need to take in order to lay that practical foundation. So you have the Ace of Pentacles here. In the recent past, you now have the Page of Pentacles where you have taken that ace and you are now learning the first steps needed to grow that into the King of Pentacles. And so in doing so, you give yourself a step-by-step, practical approach towards making things happen in your life. And I think that's going to be very conducive. That said, we have the Ace of Swords, we have the Tower, we have the Eight of Cups as the outcome, the final outcome. Why is this taking place? Okay, we have a judgment call. What is the judgment call? Okay, there you have it. Nine of Pentacles. And so there it is. So for you, Sagittarius, another great reading, along with Leo and a couple of others that were there. I think Virgo had a decent one as well. The judgment call is you finally making it to that destination where you are financially sound, independent, and able to move forward in a very free, fluid manner. So for you, a lot of what you're doing is now just trying to get your ducks in a row, making sure that things are taken care of, contracts are signed, Jobs are started, training, all of the good things. Potentially, if you've already gone through that, is just making it cross the finish line to celebrate a milestone in which you're maybe trying to make things more solid for the new undertaking that you've encountered. So I think that's very lovely that what you've got here shows me in the end you are now getting that Nine of Pentacles moment, and you're walking away from the old way of life in which you have had to struggle, you've had to deal with a lot of setbacks, stagnation, and all of that's being left behind, moving from the Eight of Cups to the Nine of Pentacles. Very sound there, very lovely as well. We see that the main signifiers for all of this, we have the Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles, holding on dearly to the idea and the dream and the vision that you're actually going to achieve that stability that is necessary and that you can nurture that stability. So moving away from the Page of Pentacles, the signifier shows the Queen of Pentacles, who has now gone into a nurturing mode of building that wealth, building that inheritance, building that stability that is so essential to making yourself feel at peace and at ease. Now, for the final bit, we have the Eyes of Mystery, and this talks about mystery, uncharted territory, and deep knowing. What I get from this is what I see a person doing is finally stepping out of their comfort zone, which is very, very much a Sagittarian thing. It's about stepping away from your comfort zone, being able to experiment and explore the solutions that you will be able to take and then wield within your own life. Because Sagittarius cards are typically temperance, where you have the Archangel Gabriel, messing about with two full chalices to create and experiment with something new. So it's almost like the chemist, of the zodiac. And they are the ones that are, trying to create new solutions in order for them to bring about change, bring about an alchemic process that will change the lead into gold. And for you specifically, you're taking all the misfortunes that you may have had or the stagnation from the past, and you're alchemizing that so that way you can move into this prosperous new beginning. And for you, I think that's going to be very good. If you have any other practical, like Earth in your chart, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, any of that, that may help to facilitate that transformation and get things moving for you. So, for many of the people, especially those who have had to deal with a very up and down market or having to shift into new careers, things like that, is something I've had to deal with. I've had to learn a lot of difficult, excruciatingly painful lessons through that process. But all in all, when you get through to the other side, the one great thing about it is that you can finally rest in your own space, in your own capabilities, and you take it day by day. You don't rush it. You don't compare yourself to others, especially. And, I can even take from my own personal circumstances what I had to deal with. When I finally moved from one career, prospect to another, I had to learn how to embrace and accept that I was working one step after the next, in order for myself to make it to a stronger position, being a neophyte in something I didn't have a lot of experience in, but I was able to make it to the point where I was increasing my capabilities rapidly. So, for example, trying not to compare myself to senior people in a company, trying to, increase my level of communication with superiors, things of that nature, overcoming challenges and taking them on, while also not being afraid to ask for help when necessary. So that is what's, leads to the rapid progress, rather than just sitting there and saying, I can do this on my own because I can't trust people in the past and all that. It's like, you have a job to do. They expect you to do it. So you just get it done. And once you get your foot in the door of a company or a business, or even in a venture that you yourself are undertaking alone, you navigate the challenges of that one step at a time, using pragmatism. Very much a very Capricorn, thing. And I think for the person that I'm reading for in this particular reading, I think that is what that they have been doing, strategically learning how to take one thing after the next, getting into that King of Swords energy by all of the little small steps that they have learned. And that is precisely what has led to this new successful venture for yourself. So anyways, great job. I'm proud of you, Saggies. We're going to go ahead and end it there. But thank you so very much for joining. This is Aluminum Tarot. Keeping the readings going for you. And we'll get on to the last reading, which is going to be, not Scorpio, but Pisces. And we'll read for Pisces, and then after that, wrap it up for today. If you like what you see here, again, don't forget to support the channel. And that's going to be it. Thanks so much. Until next time, love and light.